Ladies and gentlemen, hi. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Taylor Thompson, and we're going to move into a brief now on 3rd Network Battalion. Today I'm joined with our Deputy Commander, Mr. Bruce Hidaka-Gordon, and one of our Marines here in the Hawaii Detachment, Corporal Mavia. I know you can't see the slide, and I don't know if anyone had the chance to see the brief beforehand, but this is our title, is From Service Provider to Warfighter, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Network Battalion. For anyone that hasn't seen Dr. Strangelove, you should see Dr. Strangelove, but that's a take off that. But we are not advocating nuclear war. So really, it was an attention gainer. So again, I am Taylor Thompson. I'm the commander. I've been in command for about 5 months now. My background is I'm a communications officer in the Marine Corps. Spent various time at fleet and cyber units within the Marine Corps. My last billet before coming here was I was an operational planner at Mar 4 Cyber, who is our higher headquarters. So it's a little bit about me, and I'll turn it over to the team.
Thanks a lot, CO. Good morning. I'm Bruce Hidaka-Gordon, Deputy Commander. So I've had the honor of working for the Marine Corps and the Department of Navy in a bunch of different roles, a lot of CIO roles. But one of the cool things I got to do that relates to what we're going to talk about today is help build one of the MITCs, the MAGTF IT Service Centers, way back when in California. So I've been part of this evolution the Marine Corps has been going through for Marine Corps Enterprise Networks since the very beginning. So I've got to see it from beginning to where we are now, and hopefully you guys will enjoy learning where we are right now. So looking forward to the discussion.
Hey, good morning. I'm Corporal Mavia. I've been with 3rd Network Battalion for about 2-3 years now, and then beloved 3rd Network Battalion as well. Pass on to sir. That's it.
So we gave a version of this brief last year. Actually, Bruce gave it, and so this is a bit of an IPR, if you will, an in-progress review of how we're going. This is not a new concept. This is not a concept that's unique to the Marine Corps, but it's always good to turn back and self-reflect on things that are going well and things that aren't. So I'm going to kind of key industry partners and our mission partners here on how things are going, and then we're going to talk about what we've seen have been successful, because I think, like anyone here knows, when you're dealing with cybersecurity, IT, defensive cyber operations, the problems can be overwhelming if you just focus on that. So we're definitely going to focus on the good things. How many people have seen a network diagram like this, an information graphic that looks like this? I as a communications officer, I see it, I go, what a great briefing slide, and yet I don't know how much money it's going to take and how much time and training it's going to take to make that, to facilitate that. If you talk to our Deputy Commandant for information, if you talk to our Commandant, if you talk to some of the architects of the Marine Corps' Force Design 2030 initiative that's been ongoing now, they'll tell you that kill chains and decision making at the speed of information is critical to where we're going. So when we see this map, the members here at 3rd Network Battalion, we go, okay, we're a definite part of not only facilitating the DoDIN connections, and if you're familiar with cyberspace, U.S. Cyber Command language, DoDIN connections being the IT service provider traditional role, we also definitely have a secure and defend mission. And that's what a little bit we want to kind of get at. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about what the Marine Corps Enterprise Network is and where it's headed. And for that, we turn over to a definition. This is really, it's the foundational warfighting system of systems that the Marine Corps is going to use to exchange data. If anyone sat in on the JFN panel discussion earlier, I think the gentleman from the J2 mentioned that, hey, this is an interface of a bunch of different networks to facilitate the kill chains, to facilitate the Joint Fires Network, and we're definitely a part of this. And so we owe the joint environment, our mission partners, our coalition partners, to have the best network, to have the most secure network, and to be able to defend it rapidly at the speed of whatever our adversary is thinking of doing, to get there before them in the best place. But it didn't start there. Bruce?
Thanks, yeah, and hopefully everybody in the back you can hear, right? So I'll yell into the mic. I know that the venue's a little rough, but shake your head if I'm being not quite loud enough, which is usually not a problem for me. But so like I said, when I introduced myself, we had these things called MAGTF IT support centers that started way back when, and you wound up with 7 of them around the globe to support the Marine Corps Enterprise Network. A big problem with that is that there was no unification of command, right? So you would have 7, or I don't remember, 5 to 7 different general officers managing them. And if any of y'all have been in the military or still in the military, you know sometimes general officers like to order you to do something that might necessarily be in line with the enterprise because they need to execute mission. So we went through that evolution of being a service provider to the fleet, to the customers, the people that needed it, under different leadership. And we moved to a warfighter command, an operational command with a commanding officer. That may seem like a very small change, but I'll tell you it's an enormous change, because being an operational command with a commander that other commanders in the Marine Corps can interact with is a very big difference. And so not only did it help our ability to provide Marine Corps Enterprise Network services to the fleet, it also changed the entire way that we interact with other organizations. So there's a big difference for a leader of a MAGTF IT support center as a civilian wearing these kind of clothes sitting in on a meeting than a lieutenant colonel sitting in on a meeting as a commanding officer.
And I think what I really appreciate what Bruce said there is it changed the prioritization. It didn't change it completely. Oftentimes, the IT world speaks past, or the operational world can speak past the other side in providing requirements. I think at this point it really made us focus on what does the warfighter need to do their job. So we were that much more capable, that much more deliberate in coming to the warfighter and saying, okay, what do you need, what is working or not working, and how do we get back to getting that solution to you. So my higher headquarters is the Marine Corps Cyberspace Operation Group, the MCOG, and they are comprised of several different things, but one of which is 3 network battalions, and I'll cover that a little bit more on the next slide. But that is key. That is the CSSP, the cybersecurity service provider for the Marine Corps. It is critical to enabling global kill chains. That is a global command. All Marine Corps networks are CSSP through the MCOG. If they're not CSSP, technically today they're being integrated into the MCOG as we bring together these networks and unify them under one model.
Is the MCOG's ball Smart Force Cyber?
It's Smart Force Cyber, and I'll show you on the next slide, Mr. Thurston. So $15 billion have been put towards modernizing this across the FIDIP, across 5 years. $15 billion for the Marine Corps, that's not a small amount. That tells you the level of strategic investment that our leaders have been doing now for a while. And we're moving into an AI-enabled data-centric network. Now, what does that look like? Kind of go back to that OV slide and you go, well, what does that really, how do we really enable, or how we use AI to enable that? We're still working through solutions, and we really depend on the industry partners and our mission partners across the Joint and Coalition Force to help us learn how to do that. We have a shared and diverse workforce. It's not all uniformed members. Thankfully, we have a deputy commander with almost 30 years of experience in not just IT, but in how does the government work, how do we expertly deliver industry solutions to the warfighter. We also have a strong civilian component. About 60% of our network battalion right now is either federal civilian or contractors, and we need them, and we feel that the diversity and the differences between us are an opportunity, and they give us an advantage. And then lastly, we're a critical component, and we work to be a critical component in Assured C2. That may be a buzzword to some of you, but to the Marine Corps and the Navy, that is the process by which we make sure that we stand up our networks, we defend our networks, we make them as resilient as possible. So I told you a little bit about who we are. Well, who do we work for? 3rd Network Battalion is actually combatant. It is controlled by U.S. Cyber Command. We are a combatant command to U.S. Cyber Command, but we are service aligned. We work uniquely for the Marine Corps. Our higher headquarters directly is General Heritage, MAR-4 Cyber Commander, and my boss is the MCOG Commander, Colonel Iavito at the 06 level. There are 2 other network battalions, 1st and 2nd Network Battalion, and they work out of Camp Pendleton for 1st and Camp Lejeune for 2nd, and that they generally align to regions, but we have missions to directly support the Marine Expeditionary Forces aligned off both those coasts. Obviously, that is us here down in the corner. Another thing I'd like to cover is the fact that we don't do this alone. It is not only the network battalions, it's not only the MCOG that does this work. it is critical that we are integrated with our fleet partners and our installations commands. We talked about the MITSIs. The MITSIs were built out of infrastructure made from the installation command. So as we took on that role, a lot of what we do is still shared with those partners. And it's critical that we share it with them. And it's critical that we work with them and understand the requirements, or else we won't be responsive to what's going on outside of our unit. So our mission statement is to provide that DoDIN and defensive cyber operations specifically to Marine Forces Pacific Command, the Installations Command, and 3MEF. So our battalion is specifically focused on those three forces, and we spend all of our time as much as we can working with them and understanding what they need from us. To talk a little bit about the workforce, though, I'll turn it over to Bruce.
Thanks. So if any of y'all have sat in some of the briefs before, the metrics keep getting passed around about how big Indo-Pacific is. That is our AO as well, right? A third of the Earth. I think that picture really describes it well. We're doing that with supposedly 299 people, but right, we work for the government, so obviously we can never afford to have 100% of our manpower from the Marines. We're only about 70% for the civilian Marines, the federal civil workforce. Where we get lucky is that the contracts and the contract team members are a big part of the technical capability, and they're always at 100% or near 100%. Because contractually they're obligated to, but also because those contract partners have more flexibility in bringing people aboard. So that is one of the challenges we have, but it's also really one of our greatest benefits. Because if you come visit us, everybody come to Okinawa, come to Iwakuni, or visit our team in Hawaii, and you will see a unique perspective if you take a Marine, any Lance Corporal or Corporal, and ask them, what is it like working here? And you're going to talk to the Corporal Mavia a little bit about it, but if you ask them, you might get an answer of how amazed they are that they can sit and talk and work with contractors that have been doing this technical work for the last 30, 40 years, some of them. We actually have, I think our oldest team member is 75 years old, so a Vietnam vet. And then we have team members that actually have children that work for us. One of our VIP support technicians' father also works on our team. So between the contractors, the civil servants, and the Marines, we have this unique opportunity of a true brain trust to get this done for the warfighter. And because of the integration and because of the change to becoming a net battalion, the focus has become warfighter-centric. In fact, we're changing now, thanks in part to Colonel Iavito, the McCog CO, changing the word customer, which is something that I hold near and dear to my heart as a former CIO, to warfighter, because that really demonstrates who we are here to support. It's the warfighter. And so we in 3rd Network Battalion have created a unique culture that combines the best of the contractor workforce culture, the best of the civilian Marine culture, and there is no better culture than the Marine Corps, so the best of the Marine culture, and brought it all together and created this unique team to execute this mission.
So as Bruce mentioned, where are we? We are headquartered out of Okinawa, Japan. Our largest detachment is here on Hawaii, Mavia, and some of the team here representing Hawaii. Could you raise your hand at Hawaii so we can see you guys? Yeah,
Hawaii!
That's right. Thank you. We also have a large detachment in Iwakuni, Japan, but we do support Korea, we support Guam and Australia, and those are places we're looking to expand in the future to cover the entire region. The reason, and I'll key to the tagline at the bottom is, in 3rd Network Battalion, we feel the same as 3MEF, we feel the same as the Installations Command. Where we are today is where we will fight from. We won't be able to move in a contested environment. So we have to set the conditions now. We have to set the theater, if you've heard that term. And that's critical to how and where we place our forces, where we place our functions. But the warfighter is critical to us. We have 27,000 in this region alone. This is covering 53% of the Earth's surface, and the MCIN is a part of this, but the MCIN is global. So as things are going on right now in Ukraine and Israel, our 2nd Network Battalion and our network activity in Europe are actually learning a lot of lessons and they're inculcating that through the McCog to help us learn, and then as we learn things, those go back into the group and are taught to the other network battalions. So there is a sense of cross-coordination and learning occurring within the group. So how do we operate? Well, we put the warfighter as the top priority. We mentioned the priorities. We are speaking to the MEF and the installations about what they're doing in the contest, in the competition, into crisis and conflict. We're into the planning with them. We focus on immediate support. Now, anybody that's ever tried to lay cable or to build a router or a server, we know that's not an easy thing. But immediate support is really picking up the phone and making sure that you're working with them to get to yes now. That's a slogan. We've got it up on a banner in the deputy's office. We've had it up with the Marines and with our workforce for a long time now. And that's a big component of, but one of the successful trends of this battalion is they're there, they're working with you. They're not somewhere off in a distance that you have to call a helpline and you may or may not get help. We're there working with them. And a key component again to this, one of the key factors has been something that, and I'll credit the deputy with this, but ubiquitous communications. We try to be always accessible. We utilize every tool we can. You know, it's not about trouble tickets, it's not about work orders, it's about, can I talk to the person that's gonna help me today, or they can give me an update, or they can give me the answer. If we can facilitate that, whether it's Microsoft Teams, whether it's a phone call, whether it's having a 24/7 watch center that they can pick up the phone and call and get an answer immediately, we are there and we're available for that. A big other portion of this is going to the units. Hey, we've seen some trends, we've seen some things that we know that you guys are struggling with, or maybe that you can do better. We're going to offer you the training. We're going to offer you the permissions. We're going to work with you to help you help yourself in certain cases, and that just makes the force that much more capable of doing its job. So at this point, I want to turn it over to Corporal Movia to kind of talk to you about some of the things he's learned and he's experienced as he's been here.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Reflect on this past year at 3rd Network Battalion. It's evident that together we've achieved remarkable milestones. Now, I'm stationed in Marine Corps Base Hawaii, and I was given an amazing opportunity to travel to Iwakuni, Japan, where I learned a tremendous amount. We visited a Hiroshima Memorial Museum, and it was truly eye-opening, kind of experiencing other cultures other than where I'm from. The last time I was on this podium, I was actually a Lance Corporal, but with growth and knowledge through 3rd Network Battalion, I gained range experience. Through collaborative events or efforts, we've overcome challenges, embraced innovation, and delivered exceptional results. We give Marines the opportunity to study each sections in our battalion so they can build a basic skill set so they can become better Marines, better workforce. Our dedication to resilience, not only have it's driven success to have also success, but have also strengthened our battalion spirit. As we celebrate these achievements, let's carry this momentum forward into the coming year, aspiring to even greater heights. Thank you for your time. I really hope everyone enjoys their stay in paradise.
Thanks, Rob.
So we wanted to provide a little bit of a kind of, here's who 3rd Network Battalion is. You know, up at the top is our Okinawa headquarters, and then down to your bottom left is the Hawaii detachment here, and then our Iwakuni detachment there. So you can see it's a mixed workforce, and again, that's such a strength for us. But as the deputy and I were talking, we wanted to make sure that we left some things, and we'll open it up here for questions just a moment. We want to kind of leave you with some takeaways. The takeaways that we have for industry partners, for joint partners, for mission partners is we're trying to unify our action. That's not necessarily a technical solution. That doesn't mean that everybody gets on the same network and it's going to work perfectly from day one. It means that we are all working towards the same objective and goals, and that we're doing it sequenced with each other. The other thing is the warfighting. This is not a network for the sake of office work. This is a network that's going to facilitate lethality at the edge at the right time to the right decision maker. And if we're not working towards that, then we're probably working cross purposes. And then lastly, and I left it in red, is modernize. One of the gentlemen, again, I believe that mentioned this morning at JFN is, yes, you can modernize technology all you want to, but are you modernizing your policies and your procedures? Are you modernizing your training and your workforce to make sure that they're meeting the demands that not only that you have today, that you're going to have in the future? So that's kind of some of the key takeaways, and I'll kick it over to Bruce if we wanted to expand on that.
Right. So modernization, like CO said, is not just about technology. One of the things that we've been hearing a lot about is talent management. Right. So you went from human resources to human capital, all the buzzwords from the Beltway and the people that write books. But the bottom line is the reality is people make the technology work. So one of the areas of focus I've had is on that cultural development. How do we get three unique employee categories to work together, right? How do you get contractors, Marines, civilian Marines to all work together? So that's one of the things that we do on a daily basis, and ubiquitous communications is really what I think has enabled us to do it. Because, I come up with a lot of different sayings, and one of them is anybody can talk to anyone about anything at any time. And what that means is that a year ago, Lance Corporal at the time, Movia, was on the stage with the deputy commander of the 3rd Network Battalion briefing people. Because of that interaction, he had all sorts of great ideas. We sent him to Iwakuni to learn what was going on in Iwakuni, right? He's interacting with Okinawa team members all the time. So we even have a brand new PFC, an E2 in the Marine Corps. Already she is engaging here in the Hawaii team, asking questions that typically you wouldn't hear from a Marine or any military E2 talking to a lieutenant colonel of Marines. But we've created that environment so that you could have ubiquitous communication. The best ideas don't necessarily come from the top. Sometimes they come from the lowest level in our organization, or frankly, oftentimes outside of our organization, which is kind of why we're here, right? I see the deputy S6 of Marine Corps Base Hawaii here. They are a critical component, critical partner in our ability to do our job because of the infrastructure that this network rides on. So to wrap my part off, I want to do one thing. One is if anybody in here is from the DoD level in the Pentagon and you control a checkbook, please give more money to Marine Corps Installations Command.
Yes.
We need Marine Corps Installations Command to have a lot more money because they need to run the infrastructure so that these networks can operate. And finally, I just want to thank the CO and everybody else. This has been an amazing trip for me to be part of the beginning of the Net Battalion, but I will be moving on in a couple of months over to Niwik Atlantic in South Carolina. So if any of y'all ever deal with Niwik Atlantic, please come visit me there. I will always have a very special place in my heart, right? Once a Marine, always a Marine. But thank you. And it's just been amazing. This is an incredible unit, and I hope that everybody will consider joining it. On that, if you want to join us as a civilian, join 3NB at usmc.mil. Send us your resume. We'll review it, and hopefully we'll bring you to Okinawa, Hawaii, or Iwakuni. Thank you.
So at this point, just wanted to open up. Are there any questions?
Can you use the mic, please, Doug? Thanks. It's right there in the center. They're recording this, and we want to know what you're going to do.
It's okay. No, you guys touched on some things that kind of I really wanted to talk to Colonel Thompson about later, but I'll go ahead and say it in front of everybody. But to your point about modernizing, and I know it's, you mentioned about, AI-enabled data-centric environments and stuff like that. But I think sometimes what gets missed is, are you chasing some technologies that kind of get to the customer, the warfighter, that's going to help us out? So for example, with all the AI ML that's evolved, and I know one of them that's actually out here at TechNet, are we looking at something that's going to assist us at the customer base, such as like a ticket system that it has more AI ML features in it and get away from this antiquated remedy that you could advocate to the MACOG about? Because really, I think I'm just going to go ahead and throw their name out. NESD, for example, has some really cool capability in it that I think when you start getting into like a denied, degraded environment and you're disconnected, that the AI features could kick in to where we're not actually held down because of a remedy ticket system when we need support.
Absolutely. I think one of the big things that we're seeing right now is there isn't a lot of experience within the DoD tuning automation, tuning AI. I know that the McCog right now has a suite of tools that they have not released to us, but it has automation features in it that they're trying to tune. And to the conversation on AI yesterday, do they have the right data sets? Do they have the right things that would teach the automation the right way to do it, or else you're just creating more work? There are components of the tools that we currently have. If you dig into any, I mean, the Marine Corps will buy a tool and we'll use it for this much when it's capable of this much. Oftentimes the automation's not tuned on that. Now, some of that's by policy, and some of it's just because no one has put forth the effort to figure that out. We're trying to do that on some levels. I do know the group are deploying tools like Red Seal, that have the capability to automate certain aspects of it. But we want to get to the point where, yes, we are deploying tools down, doing routine things that we know everyone knows how to do, but a machine can probably do better and timed better. And so trying to leverage that. I don't have a specific suite of tools, but I do know that's one of Colonel Iovito's top priorities. I believe it was one of Colonel Cleaver, the previous commander's priorities, and it's just getting past that. But again, I would put this out again, just like it was said yesterday and the day before, there are policy barriers. The technical solution may be there. There are policy barriers to this that we need to overcome.
And there is one AI tool that we've implemented at the Enterprise Service Desk. It's called ChestyBot. So it's actually more than just a chat. It's a tool that's supposed to learn from the customer base, right? The Navy is experimenting with that as well, but people on the Marine Corps Enterprise Network can actually use that AI chat tool. And obviously it's an experiment, we're learning from it, but the Enterprise Service Desk is that tool that's supposed to help the customers. But on the backside, with all the people running the networks, it's coming. Mm-hmm. But for the customer-facing stuff, there is something right now that we start experimenting with.
Any other questions?
Comments are fine too. Just step up to the mic, tell us how great we are. Or you know what, if you have a concern about the services we're providing, let us know.
Colonel Thompson, are you okay?
We'll turn the mic off, but you can let us know. Come on. Felicia, I know you have a question for the CO. We're calling you out. Stand up, it's okay. Ask him about 8140 and the implementation.
Yes. How are we paying for and holding people accountable to? I know. She came up and asked me beforehand. That's why.
All right, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So, what technology do you see that we could get help from the industry partners to make our life easier to support the warfighters?
I think we were talking about this a little while ago, but I think in sequencing with as the Marine Corps tries to do kill chains, right? And we talk about this. How do we rapidly move data? I think there's a technological solution to automating a part of that, which is to the AI-enabled, data-driven portion of it. But I think it's moving technically away from proprietary and single architecture. How do we move to where we can move to the network that we need to be on, not to the network we're stuck with? Now, how do you get there? I don't know. There used to be a thing called the JIE years ago where we tried to make one big joint network, which looks surprisingly like the Army, but there was a benefit in that you were always plugging into the same network. Now, because we have service networks, there's just an added layer of complication. Now, are they tuned specifically to what the services need in those forces? Absolutely, and there's goodness in that, but I think there's something, and you're seeing it in the fact that the JFN is being made. It's a realization. It's not a concept. That's a demand signal that whatever the service networks are, they now need to integrate in with that to facilitate those kill chains. So that's a technical solution. That's a very large answer, but that's kind of what I see coming.
Okay, I got a question.
All right.
I'll make it good. From your last command, CO, mm-hmm. What was the best thing that influenced you that you can bring over to 3rd Network Battalion that you pollinated here at 3rd Network Battalion that's going to make us great?
That's a big thing. I can tell you that I worked directly for General Heritage in my last billet as a planner, and so getting to see the way he thinks, I think I can help us move forward into that. I can tell you that it's not just a 3rd Network Battalion thing. I think it's across the forces, is understanding what we call it the warfighter in the Marine Corps, but it's really who is the customer, who is the supported force, who's going to use the network and needs the network to do the thing they do. If you're not trying to understand what they do, then you're always going to be a step behind, and you're always going to deliver an incomplete and a generally unacceptable product in whatever network. I think add that on with defense. What is important to defend? How do we know that? You know, that's not something we can make up in 3rd Network Battalion. We have some ideas. We have to talk to the supported forces, and we have to know how to talk to them. So I think it's a lot of getting out of your office, getting out from behind your desk, and I know our team does it, but I know for a lot of us it's a difficult thing, because for me, I'm on a plane 2 weeks out of every month going somewhere. You have to go to those people and talk to them. You're going to get the conversation, you know, that you really need, that you may not get across email or PowerPoint. And so that's been a lesson that I think I learned up there that I'm hoping that 3rd Network Battalion is already doing, but I'm definitely expecting them to continue to progress in that way. Well, we'll cap it there. Thank you, everyone. Again, appreciate the chance for letting us brief. If you have any questions, please, we'll be up here. Click on the video.
All right.